Here's a non-controversial topic for you. Let's all hate Microsoft together. You know Microsoft is doing the world wrong when even the most toxic of positive people have all band together, joined hands across the globe, and in one harmonic tone, unanimously sang,
Microsoft!
In fairness, Microsoft kind of deserves this. Actually, kind of is underselling it. They absolutely deserve this. For all of the memes that Don Mattrick has received, the distaste he has gotten for fumbling the Xbox One launch by putting in a $500 price tag, forced Connect, and kind of delivering an underpowered device compared to the PS4, the Xbox One, for what it was, felt like a true Xbox console, and it felt like Xbox still had the right focus. They just got littered with extra media stuff. Remember, they launched with Forza Motorsport 5, Rise, Son of Rome, Dead Rising 3, which weren't necessarily the best games of all time, but it looked optimistic. And even going into that in 2014, they secured Titanfall as an Xbox exclusive, and back then they used to get the Call of Duty games earlier as well. Now, this isn't to rewrite history. The Xbox One was largely fumbled, and a lot of it was because of Don Mattrick. But when I think of Don Mattrick, I think of the dumb interview he had, which kind of doomed the Xbox from day one, whereas when I think of Phil Spencer, I think of him dooming the entirety of the world. This most recent round of layoffs is something like the fourth in the last 18 months. 9,000 people across all of Microsoft at a time when their stock is, I think, as high as it's ever been. If not, it's got to be close to it. 9,000 people have been laid off. Some of them with zero warning. They just opened up their phone and saw that they could not connect to their internal chat. People that have been with various studios for a very long time, whether that be with Halo, or even some people that have been with Rare for close to 35 years. All gone with the snap of a finger. And for all intents and purposes, none of the people that were laid off were responsible for the decisions that led to their layoffs. However, one man stands above the rest of them, and will continue to stand, because Microsoft issued a statement to the press that suggests that Spencer will remain in his role for some time to come. He is not retiring anytime soon. But if Microsoft was looking to downsize, which they're reportedly doing so because they invested a crap ton of money into infrastructure for artificial intelligence, yeah, robots are replacing people before they even start functioning. Just the preparation and the acquirement of the robots is enough to fire people. But if Microsoft was looking to downsize in order to offset these purchases, well, they could have just let go of Phil Spencer and just kept everybody else in their job, because he has his hands on everything that's making all of the poor decisions. Now instead we have studios getting shut down, popular games and franchises getting canceled, and honestly, I'm kind of desensitized to all of this because after last year when they decided to close down Tango Gameworks, the developer behind Hi-Fi Rush, that actually might have been the final nail in the coffin for me, a one-time Microsoft fanboy. Now, to be clear, I have hardly been an Xbox fanboy in recent years. I've mentioned it a few times throughout my channel, but basically at some point in my life, Mario handed the baton that is my gaming experience over to the Master Chief, and that took me through to the end of the Xbox 360 and Wii era where I was playing both consoles quite a bit. But with the launch of the Xbox One, like many others, I kind of jumped ship at that point. I didn't buy a PlayStation 4 either because I was still burnt by the fact that they wanted to charge us 3 Wiis for a PS3. And I didn't buy an Xbox One because they wanted to screw around with my ownership of physical games as well as overcharge us for the Xbox One. So a lot of you that think that I was just grifting for my hatred of the Nintendo Switch 2, well, hopefully you kind of understand where that's coming from now. Now, while I decided to not buy an Xbox, I was a big fan of the Windows Phone back in the day, as well as the Surface Pro. I just felt like the live tiles on the phone were pretty innovative. I liked the fact that Cortana, my favorite AI from one of my favorite franchises, was on the phone. And when the first Surface Pro was announced, well, that was an innovation. And naturally, I always get excited by innovation. That's why I've always loved Nintendo. So I bought the Surface Pro, I bought the Windows Phone, and then I proceeded to watch Microsoft support the Windows Phone less and less while putting better apps on the Android phones as well as Apple, meaning that you would get a better Microsoft experience by not buying the Windows Phone and instead buying an Android phone. The Surface Pro is still cool though. That was the last computer I bought up until the one that I bought last month. But as far as the phones are concerned, it became clear that the optimal Microsoft experience was not with owning a Microsoft device. The same way that Microsoft has done it with their PCs, where it doesn't really matter if you buy a Microsoft PC or not, the important thing is that you got Windows on the PC. Well, likewise, it doesn't matter what kind of phone you buy, as long as you got Microsoft Office on there, Outlook, teams, all that stuff, Microsoft's still happy. That's more important to them than the hardware. Around 2021, they started to push out the xCloud beta. That drew me back in. There was another innovation. I was able to play Xbox games on Game Pass, which I was able to get for like $1 using any random controller. I thought that was really cool. And messing around with Game Pass actually got me to buy an Xbox Series X, especially with the upcoming Halo Infinite, and I was able to get back into Halo with the Master Chief Collection. So I felt it was well worth my investment. And then, after Halo Infinite launched, there was a whole issue with it, and a large part of the reason why it was as bad as it was at launch is because they decided to lay off most of the employees and rehire some folks as contractors. It was an absolute mess. I don't know if you guys were around the Xbox fandom during the launch of Halo Infinite, but between Game Pass, xCloud, and Halo Infinite, a lot of us actually had high hopes for what was to come with Xbox, something that many of us hadn't quite felt in about a decade. But for me, that optimism just quickly started to dissipate. There'd be some big announcements here and there, some studios that would be acquired, some random gems that would show up on Game Pass that would be well worth your time and effort, but almost every single time it felt like there was some kind of momentum for some kind of optimism for Xbox fans. It just felt like Microsoft did not want Xbox to succeed. They wanted to throw a lot of money at the industry. They wanted to gamble on small projects potentially. Maybe they wanted to financially operate at a loss, because that helps something with the corporation numbers that I don't fully understand. But before, I used to think Microsoft was buying all of these studios out so that they can have their hands in the money of these studios making more games, making Xbox the #1 software developer on every console if they can, as well as the obvious integration with PC. But now it almost looks to me as if they want to buy out everything, let the big ones that can flourish on their own continue to do what they're doing, and in some cases they'll even shut those guys down, while seemingly shutting down all of the more adventurous projects that would require a little bit more money without guaranteed returns. So basically, it seems like if you're a competitor to Microsoft, their goal is to either buy you out so that you can make games for them, or buy you out so they can shut you down, effectively eliminating the competition. A few weeks ago, I made a video about the ROG Ally X. In that video, I specifically said I was concerned. A lot of folks disagreed. They're excited. It's going to be a very strong handheld PC, and it's going to run a custom gaming model of Windows, which seems to be the focus of Microsoft as far as gaming is concerned. From a hardware side of it, I am excited as well. I think the device looks really cool, and I think what Microsoft can offer with this device can be very cool, especially because the device is effectively going to give people access to all of their PC game libraries. My concern was never about what the device could do. I have no doubt that it's going to be a good device. My concern is strictly because I don't like that Xbox is attaching their name to everything. I don't like that they're able to just throw their money wherever they'd like, capitalize on someone else's work, and then just shut whatever they want down on a whim. Again, in my ROG Ally video, I alluded to this, but I said that we give Nintendo a lot of crap for weaponizing nostalgia and calling them the modern day Disney as video games, and I think that's true. Nintendo is very much like Disney when it comes to how they protect their IPs, and how they just like to go after everybody and shut them down for no reason. But Microsoft also does a lot of what Disney does, in that they're going out and they're buying everything. And in the same way, the Disneyfication of the entirety of the movie industry has kind of made it worse in a lot of ways. I mean, sure, there might be some movies pop up here and there, some shows that might come up that people are like, oh, I'm glad Disney got their hands on this. But for the most part, a lot of that diversity that we used to see in the movie industry has just drifted away. If Xbox continues to buy out billion-dollar studio after billion-dollar studio, more and more of that creativity starts to dissipate. And we already see it. The numbers must always go up. There are no more risks. This is just the way a lot of the video game industry operates now. And there is very little exception to that rule on all of the major platforms from all of the major publishers, with really the only hint of creativity being the indie titles that are able to be lucky enough to get their public view in. I believe it was Martin O'Donnell from Bungie that had an interview with Ackman, where it seemed like he was concerned because Xbox was not nice to the goose. The goose lays the golden egg. Xbox then has a golden egg. The golden egg is worth a lot of money, but eventually that egg will cease to be relevant. If you're cherishing of the goose, it'll lay another golden egg for you. But instead of taking care of the goose, making sure it's ready to go for another round of eggs, Microsoft likes to crack the golden egg, fry it immediately, pluck the feathers, behead the goose, and serve it at the next major holiday. At this point, everything that Xbox Studios is getting their hands on turns to crap. And the more they get their filthy hands all over the gaming industry, the worse I think it's going to be for the gaming industry. Basically, what I'm trying to say is,
Microsoft!